Hey everybody, Dan from rightbrainnow.com. Today we are going to cover Instagram and how to make your photos look the best they possibly can look. Most of your friends are just using the Instagram filters, but let's be honest, they've lost their flavor. You can spot an Instagram filter from a mile away. So today we're going to go through a few steps that you can do to just make your photos look like they were taken by a professional camera, but in reality you were just using your phone. So let's get started. I'm just going to click Instagram, open the app here, and you can see my computer is just right in front of me. I never use the in-app camera ever. I never do. I never use it. I find that it makes me rush the moment. It makes me try to capture something that might not be the best to capture. I always capture my images in the camera, just the iPhone or Android phone camera, and then I import them into Instagram, and then that's how I do my uploading. So that's what I'm going to do here. You can see on the lower left-hand corner there is a photo icon. We're just going to tap that, and it is going to open all your photos here. So you can see we have all the photos. I was drinking wine earlier tonight. I really like this photo. It shows some good depth of field. It has some lighting coming through the wine, reflecting down onto the base. It's just a unique photo. So one thing you want to look at when you're looking at editing a photo is you want to take the photo correctly from the get-go. So what you want to do, you don't want to just snap a picture. You want to think of lighting. Do you need to turn the flash on the camera? Do you need to turn a light on in the room? Do you need to turn a light off in the room? How do you want to frame the photo? Framing is honestly more important than any filter effect you would ever do to a photo, especially in Instagram, since there's so many filter options. A lot of people mask their photo with a filter, but you want to start with a good photo. And I'm not saying this is a good photo, but I would say that it's better than the average picture of a glass of wine. It has that depth of field, and what I mean by depth of field is my camera I had closer to the top of the glass than the bottom of the glass, and I tapped the screen and I focused on the bottom of the glass. So you can see the bottom of the glass is very clear, and as you get to the top of the glass it becomes a little blurry. And I did that on purpose. It just adds that extra depth and dimension to the photo, and that's one thing a lot of people don't think of when they're just Instagramming a photo. They're just taking a selfie, or they're just taking a picture of a glass of wine on a tabletop. They're not really adding to the photo when they take it. So, that's one thing you really want to think of, and that's another reason why I use the camera on the phone and not Instagram when taking photos. It just makes me think about the photo a little bit more. So we're going to use this photo here. So now that I've selected the photo, I'm just going to go to the top right, and I'm going to click Next. And then here, this is where a lot of people get in trouble in Instagram and just use filters. So they come down here to the bottom, and you can see normal. This is just right out of the camera. Or you can do slumber, and you can just scan the bottom here, and you can find a filter you like. So you can just tap them and see which one you like, and you can go all the way through, yada yada. One that caught my eye, this caught my eye. It really brightens those reds, really makes it stand out, adds a little contrast to the photo, but I think the filter's too strong. So what you can do, you can choose a filter you like, and then you can change the strength of that filter. So I'm on the X Pro 2 down there at the bottom, and the little blue bar at the bottom signifies what filter I'm looking at. If I tap X Pro 2 again, you can see it brings up that menu, and you can see the filter's at 100%. I don't want it at 100%. So if I go all the way to 0%, that's the original photo I took. Let's do somewhere right, that might even be a little too strong. Let's do 54%. That looks good. So I am going to either reject by hitting the X or accept by hitting the check. So I'm going to accept that. I'm going to hit the check, and it brings us back to this menu. So a lot of people, they'll choose their filter and they'll just go to the top right, they'll click next, and they'll upload their photo. We're going to take it a little step further. We're going to hit that little sun in the middle, and what that does is brings up Lux. And Lux, I use this on basically all my Instagram photos. You can see it really adds some, you know, a lot of contrast. You know, a lot of contrast. It darkens up those photos, adds a little sharpening, things like that, and ultimately -100%, it grays it out and it softens it a lot, and there's hardly any contrast. I am going to bring it to, for this photo, I don't want it all the way there. I think that's a little too extreme. Let's go right there. 31%, that's good. So let's hit check. We'll accept that. Brings us back to this menu, and then from here I am going to click the wrench with the circle on the right there under the photo, and that will take us to where we can adjust the photo further. So you can click adjust to straighten the photo out. So that photo was a little crooked, so I can just move that dial and that would straighten it out. To be honest with you though, I like it crooked. It adds a little dimension to it, so I'm going to take it even more crooked. That looks good right there, I think. Just to my eye, that looks good. So I'm just going to click the check and accept that. It's going to bring us back to this menu. And then we can just go kind of across, and I'm not going to walk you through all these. I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but I'm just going to make my edits. And you can see the gray bar that's getting added to the adjustments down below. That signifies what adjustments we've made to the photo. So I'm just going to go through here and kind of you know, add some contrast. Warmth, I never really, it always makes the photos yellow, and it makes it look like an Instagram filter. So if anything, I leave it at 0. This one, it's almost a little warm to begin with, so I might drop it a little bit. Let's drop it by like 14 and accept that. Saturation, it honestly depends. This I'm not gonna desaturate or do anything with. So say I saw that, I thought it was horrible, I'm just gonna click the X and it'll bring us back. And then at any point in time, you can hold your thumb down and you can kind of see how we're editing this photo. So I think it's coming along. We added some contrast in there, we added the Lux. So we're just gonna keep going. We don't wanna add saturation. Highlights, you can see that'll add to, you know, the highlights in the wine glass and on the table. There, you know, I'm honestly going to take the highlights down maybe a little bit. Take them down just a smidge. Shadows, shadows. This is how you, if you really wanted your Instagram photo to look HDR, shadows is where you could do that. You know, I am not going to mess with shadows at all here, so I'm just going to click the X. Vignette, this adds the vignetting around the outside. You can see it darkens the edges. I'm going to add just a little bit there, accept that. Tilt shift is a cool option. This really adds a focal point to your image. So right now it's off. If I choose radial, it adds a circle. And what you can see is what it's doing is you can move the circle around by using your thumb on the screen, and if you pinch and expand your fingers, you can expand that. So by doing that, what I did is you can see the outside of the image out here. When I center this on the wine glass bottom, all the area outside of that circle is blurry. It gets blurry. But inside that circle is crystal clear. And that's a cool effect, especially if you're wanting to add a focal point to your image. You don't want everything to be in focus. You want a particular focal point. And then linear does the exact same thing, but what it does is it adds a line, and you can pinch and contract, and then you can actually spin your fingers, and you can, you know, if you want it vertical or horizontal, you know, depending on the image, you know, if you're taking a picture of a building or whatnot. And then same thing, you can widen it or contract it to make it as narrow as possible. I honestly like the radial one, so we're going to come back to the radial. Let's make that right about there. Right about there. It'll make everything blurry, but we're really focusing on the light reflection in that coming through that wine. And all that basically is my coffee table, and the light right above the coffee table is all that is, but it just looked like a cool effect, so I figured I'd capture it. So we're going to select yes, and then finally you got sharpen, and we can add a ton of sharpening or not. I usually always add a little bit of sharpening to my photo. If you add too much, you can kind of see in the dark table there, it gets a little grainy. I'm going to add something like that and click accept. And then now we're done with our photo. So now we can click next. And we can add this to Facebook. So let's just say wine kinda night. Click OK. And then I want to add that to Facebook. We'll throw it on Tumblr, and we'll throw it on Flickr. And now we just click share. And you can see now it pops up there. So you can see, a lot of people, they'll add that, or, you can see they come through and they just snap photos, but, none of them have that professional look. So this was just taken with my camera, and we added a professional look on there to just add that extra depth and add that extra oomph to the image. So if you have any questions, hit up the channel. Right Brain Now on YouTube. rightbrainnow.com is the website. Check out our other lessons. We'll continue coming out with them. We appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you next time. Take care.